purchase orders and work orders if you're using a freight forwarder. This is a more complicated and advanced form of purchase ordering. So if you haven't already watched the How to Create a Purchase Order in SoStocked video and article on our help desk, please do that first, and also watch the video and read the article on why are work orders necessary. Those two are kind of the basics. This is a more advanced scenario, but let's go ahead and talk about this. In your vendors area, you've got suppliers, you've got warehouses, prep centers, and you can also have a freight forwarder. Anytime you're sending inventory from a supplier to another location, unless that location is Amazon, it has to be assigned as a warehouse. So if you're sending inventory from your supplier to a prep center, or you have a freight forwarder sort of like right there kind of attached with your supplier. So let's say Westside Storage is a freight forwarder. They have to be marked as a warehouse. So just make sure you click in there, make sure they're marked as a warehouse. They can also be marked as a freight forwarder. That's mostly for internal tracking. But in order to store inventory, they have to be a warehouse. Now that you've done that, let's talk a little bit about lead times. So we're going up here to the lead times area. And what we'll do is we're going to create a lead time. And I'm going to explain what this lead time is. FF stands for freight forwarder. You can call it whatever you want, but a good naming convention would be something like FF for freight forwarder lead time, WS for Westside Storage, FF, right? So Westside Storage freight forwarder. Whatever supplier is producing the inventory is going to produce it, and immediately it's going to go into that warehouse. We're going to call this Westside Storage. Now they're a freight forwarder, so from there they're going to bundle it together, they're going to do whatever they're going to do. They're going to put it on a boat, and eventually it will go to the third-party warehouse in the United States, in Denver, where from that final destination it will be warehoused, and then eventually it will be sent as in transfers into FBA. So that's kind of our lead time. But now let's look at how we could actually use this new lead time with the freight forwarder. Okay, so let's say we're going to go place a purchase order now for some inventory. And let's say, just to keep it simple, I'm going to purchase 500 units of these can openers here. So usually I will start on the forecast page where I place my order. You can, of course, alternately just create a purchase order from scratch by going up here to the top left corner of any page and click on purchase order. I, of course, prefer to do it from the forecast page because it autofills all of my stuff in there. So let's say this is a bundled product, so it's automatically ordering one of each of those two things. That's great. We'll give it a PO number. I'm not going to walk you through the whole PO system because there's a whole video on that. But the point is the lead time. So we created this freight forwarder lead time, right? So the default lead time for this supplier, ABC supplier, is this lead time where it's going direct to Amazon. But we're going through a freight forwarder and we're going to bundle it a little differently. So we're going to choose FF lead time WSFF. Sounds very complicated, but now we understand what it means. Okay, good. So it's going to stay at this warehouse, it's going to go on an ocean freight, and it's going to go to another warehouse. Confirm that. Okay. And then if I wanted to, I could even create another purchase order. Let's say, for example, if we wanted to get really fancy, and we were actually going to send this inventory from ABC supplier to the freight forwarder, and at the same time we're also going to place another purchase order from a different supplier for inventory going to the same freight forwarder, and the freight forwarder is going to bundle it and put it all together and then ship it to its final destination. You can totally do that. So check this out. We've got the first PO here, number 123, coming from ABC supplier. And then we're going to add another PO. So right now we've added another PO here. And this one we're going to call PO number 124. And this one's going to be from XYZ supplier. And I'm going to choose a product. We're going to send some of this shampoo. Why would you ever bundle shampoo with a can opener? I have no idea, but this is just make-believe. We're going to order 500 units of the shampoo. And then we want to make sure that we choose the same lead time that we chose for the can opener so that they can both meet up at the freight forwarder. So let's go find that. Here it is. FF lead time, FF, there it is. Confirm. Now you can see it's the same 7 days production. Now, by the way, these actually might have different production times. That's okay. I can go in here and manipulate this and say, you know what, the shampoo takes 10 days to produce and the can opener takes only 7 days to produce, that's okay. As long as they both end up at the freight forwarder, that's all I care about. So we're choosing the lead time, all right? You can, of course, fill out all this stuff. If you want payment terms, notes, all that good stuff, I'm not going to get into that because that's explained in the other video on purchase orders and work orders. Let's go to the next step. Now what's going to do, we're going to have two different work orders. As explained in the work orders article, the reason for that is, of course, each warehouse that is getting instructions has to have its own work order. I always use the analogy of, why would you want a work order? What is the purpose of a work order? Well, imagine if you woke up one day and you opened your front door and there was a pallet of dog toys on your front step. No note, no work order, no instructions, just a pallet of dog toys. That would be kind of confusing, right? The whole purpose of the work order is to give the warehouse, or in this case the freight forwarder, instructions on what to do with all this inventory. So the freight forwarder is going to expect all three of these different products, these two components of the can opener and of course the shampoo. In this case, we're just going to ship it to the final destination, which is the Denver warehouse, as you can see down here. Okay, good. Let's go to the next step. Now we're on the final work order, which is the instructions for the Denver warehouse. You're going to receive all this inventory from our freight forwarder. This is what you're going to do with it. You're going to stock it into inventory. Boom, we are done. Let's save this and preview it. We've got our first purchase order, number 123, from our first supplier, ABC Supplier, for the can opener components. We've got our second purchase order, number 124, from our second supplier, XYZ Supplier, for the shampoo. We've got our first work order, which is for the freight forwarder to bundle all that inventory, do whatever they're going to do with it. And then we've got the final work order for the Denver warehouse right here. All right, once I submit this order, I've got, again, 4 different parts to this whole workflow. Each one of these I can send manually by downloading the PDF, or I can actually email them. You can schedule all of these emails to arrive at the warehouse or the freight forwarder on the day that you expect it to actually get there with instructions. Of course, here you can upload, documents such as FBA shipping labels. You can change this. You can fully customize it. You can download the flat file, which there's a whole video on if you want to search for that, to create your FBA shipping plans. Very, very cool. So that's the simplicity of it. Kind of an advanced example here, but I hope you found that helpful.